History has seen its share of strange trials. But nothing like this. The year is 897 AD. Rome is tense, dark, and full of whispers. Inside the Grand Basilica of St. John Lateran, the most powerful man in the Christian world, Pope Stephen VI, sits on a throne. Candles burn low. Priests and bishops stand silent. The air smells of incense and decay. Because at the center of this trial is the accused, a man who cannot speak, cannot move, cannot defend himself. Because he is dead. His corpse, bloated, rotting, months in the grave, has been dug up, dressed in papal robes, and placed on a throne. This is Pope Formosus, the former leader of Christendom. And tonight, he is on trial. Yes, this really happened. It was called the Cadaver Synod. One of the most bizarre and disturbing events in medieval history. Over the next few minutes, we will uncover why this macabre trial happened, the bitter politics that drove a living pope to hate a dead one, and the shocking punishment that was carried out on a corpse. You will not believe how this story ends. So let's go back to the beginning to understand why Pope Formosus was condemned even after death. To understand the Cadaver Synod, we need to understand Pope Formosus. He was a skilled diplomat, clever, ambitious, and controversial. In the late 800s, Europe was chaotic. The Holy Roman Empire was weak. Kings and dukes fought for power. And the papacy was right in the middle of it all, Formosus made powerful allies and dangerous enemies, He supported a particular imperial family's claim to the throne of Italy. Angering their rivals, he was accused of abandoning his duties, and even of trying to seize another bishopric, serious crimes in church law. At one point, he was excommunicated. But later, he was forgiven, restored to favor, and eventually elected pope. As pope, Formosus continued to play power politics, crowning emperors and backing factions. But when he died in 896, his enemies saw their chance for revenge. And when Pope Stephen VI took the throne, a man loyal to Formosus' rivals, the stage was set for one of the most disturbing spectacles in church history, January 897. Rome gathers in the basilica. The corpse of Formosus is brought in, placed on a throne, and dressed in full papal regalia, tiara, robes, and even a staff in his withered hand, Pope Stephen VI presides like a judge. Bishops stand like jurors. The charges: perjury, breaking canon law, illegally becoming pope. The corpse is accused of crimes it supposedly committed years earlier, of course. Formosus cannot defend himself, so a deacon is appointed to speak for him. This poor man answers questions on behalf of the corpse, while the church fills with horrified spectators. Witnesses say the dead pope's head lolled back and forth as if nodding. The smell of death filled the basilica, The trial was a show, and the verdict was predetermined. Pope Stephen declares Formosus guilty. What followed was even more shocking. After being found guilty, Formosus' corpse was stripped of its papal robes. The 3 fingers he once used for blessing were cut off. The sentence was not just humiliation, it was meant to erase his papacy from history. His acts as pope were annulled. His ordinations were declared invalid. Finally, his body was dragged through the streets of Rome and thrown into the Tiber River. This was more than revenge. This was meant to send a message. No one, not even a dead pope, could escape the judgment of the living pope. But what happened next shocked everyone, even Stephen VI. Rome was horrified. Even those who hated Formosus thought the trial had gone too far. Riots broke out. The people rose up against Stephen VI. Within months, Stephen was deposed, imprisoned, and strangled to death in his cell. Later popes reversed the verdict, restoring Formosus' honor and reburying his body in St. Peter's Basilica. Some even claimed miracles happened at his new grave, as if God himself had vindicated him. The Cadaver Synod became a dark symbol of how far political and religious hatred could go, even beyond the grave. The story of the Cadaver Synod is disturbing, but also deeply human. It reminds us how fear and power can twist justice into something grotesque. A pope, the spiritual leader of millions, was so consumed by revenge that he dug up a corpse, dressed it, and condemned it before the world. And in the end, it destroyed him. Soft music builds. History is full of moments like this, moments that force us to ask hard questions. How far will people go for power? And what does justice even mean when hatred takes over? If this story shocked you, share it. Talk about it. Because history isn't just dates and names. It's drama. It's tragedy. It's lessons we're still learning today. And sometimes, it's a corpse on trial, nodding silently as the living decide its fate. Subscribe if you want more of history's strangest, darkest, and most unbelievable true stories. Because the past is much stranger than fiction.